Hey YouTube friends, this is Kim. I'm going to be starting a little bit of a series because I want to show people that need it and maybe even, learn a little bit myself that you can save up to 40%, 40% or more sometimes on your food bill without having to change how you shop, what you buy, what you eat, anything like that. Okay? Now, I'm going to give you a few statistics, and I'm going to say this little series is going to have just a few videos in it. So if you're interested in the topic, please subscribe and hit that notification bell because it's the best way to know as I put these videos out, which I'm going to be doing kind of quick so that this information gets out there. But anyway, let me tell you about a few statistics because it was quite shocking to me. Those that know me know that I advocate for zero food waste as much as possible. And what I'm talking about is the edible parts of food, not like the banana peel. Yes, there are ways you can use them. I'm just not something that I'm interested in making vegan bacon out of a banana peel. But it could be done if you're really needing the food. So statistic-wise, between 30 and 40% of all food that somebody purchases is wasted. Usable parts of the food, 30 to 40%. That is astonishing to me, but it took time and it took knowledge before I no longer wasted that kind of food. Let me tell you really quickly, I was really upset with myself as I was cleaning out my refrigerator. I found about a half of a box, whatever you want to call it, of macaroni and cheese. It was in a fairly big bowl. It didn't get eaten. It got shoved to the back of my refrigerator and it started to grow mold. That's something it drives me crazy. Yes, I could feed it to my pigs, okay? But the fact is that this was food that I purchased, that I took my time to cook, I took my time to put it away, and I ended up wasting it. When in fact, I made chili just a few days after that. I could have, instead of making enough for 4 servings, I could have added that mac and cheese, turned it into chili mac and cheese, and made 6 servings for my family. But I wasted it. It wasn't a ton of money. I paid maybe $2 a box because it's got that liquid cheese in it. But a dollar out of my pocket that I could spend on something else went to waste. If I did that every week, that's a lot of money at the end of the year, right? Okay, so anyway, I digress. 30 to 40% you can cut by a few simple methods of planning simple ways to reuse the food that you already purchased. One of the number one ways that the food gets wasted, 42% of all U.S. households said they will not eat or they do not eat leftovers. They don't care for them. They simply get left in the refrigerator. Somebody with good intentions always puts them in there, but they never get eaten. 42%. So if I made that mac and cheese 3 times a week, and there was leftovers, now my $1 a week just went to $3 a week. Add in some kind of meat. Maybe I made 5 hamburgers and 1 got stuck in the refrigerator. Add ground beef is, in my area, almost $6 a pound. And that's not even the good stuff. That's money that's going to waste. Okay? 42% of people do not eat their leftovers. I'm just wondering how many of you guys, if you'll be honest with me, I'm curious, how many have leftovers and their family really doesn't eat them? Or how many times a week do you throw out those leftovers? I'm just curious. I would like to know. Okay. You don't have to tell me, but it would be nice to know. Another thing that gets wasted by 30 plus percent of people are things they buy with good intentions. And what I mean by that is I want my family to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables, as an example. Okay. So they decide that, with the holidays coming up, we better start eating better because we know we're going to have some really bad meals. Maybe Thanksgiving's going to be crazy. We might have a lot of leftovers. So I want my family now to start eating some fruits and vegetables. So they go out and they buy 5 pounds of apples and a great big bunch of bananas and all this stuff to make salad. And instead of making sure that their family is eating it, they tell them it's there. Okay, I've done it myself when my kids were young. I say, hey, you know what? There's apples over there. Grab one for a snack. And they're like, I don't really care for an apple. So a lot of that gets wasted. Maybe out of that 5 pounds of apples, they sit there for 2 or 3 weeks, and now you've got 2 pounds of apples you have to throw away. Again, I don't know what your area charges for apples. Ours is $1.98 a pound. That's $4 that just went away. And all that salad stuff, excuse me, all that salad stuff that nobody took the time to make up the salads, because that's one of my biggest things is I buy all this stuff and then I throw it in the fridge, and my good intention is to pull all that stuff back out, chop it all up, make sure it gets ready to use so that hopefully people will eat it. I've done much, much better over the years at that, but there's been times when in the past I have bought that food, that lettuce sat there until it got so old that nobody was going to eat it, especially, even including myself, and I ended up getting thrown away. So I buy less of it at one time, and I make sure that I use it up. Okay, so I don't want to waste it. Things that you purchase, maybe this big bunch of carrots, and you're going to make roasted carrots 2 nights a week for the next month and get your family to, get healthy on carrots. When you start seeing those carrots are getting a little, they're not old, they're not to be thrown out, but maybe they're not as firm as they used to be. Do you look at them and go, I really don't want to eat them, or maybe I better chop them up and stick them in the freezer. So instead of throwing them away, there's ways to reuse them, okay? These are the foods that you buy with good intentions. It could even be something that you find on an incredible sale, but you never tasted it before, and once you cook it, you're like, ew, that was not worth the $5 I spent on it. Okay? Lesson learned. Is there any way you can make it edible? Is there anything you can do with it? If not, just put it on your list of, nope, not trying that again. Okay? Another thing is, when we're talking about those leftovers, I have what we call planned overs. I'll give you a quick example. I buy my beef from a local farmer. It already comes packaged and frozen, so I cannot, break it open and make it into smaller portions that I like to use. For example, I have my beef come in 1 pound packages. I prefer them, if I split them up myself, to put them in 12-ounce packages, because every time, I just look at it this way, every 3 packages, I get a 4th one for, quote, free to use in a meal. Just because a recipe calls for 1 pound doesn't mean I can't use 12 ounces and make that stretch a little better. And I do have a video on that already that I posted. I will put that in the link below in the description box so that you can understand better what I'm talking about. But planned overs for me would be, now the roast, the guide packages for me are 2.5 to 3 pounds per, and there's only 3 of us here, so we're not going to eat that in one meal. Once it's cooked, I use the juices, we'll have a roast with maybe potatoes and carrots for dinner, and then I have 1.5 pounds or so left over. I'll take half of that I'll take the juices from the roast, make a gravy, add the meat, maybe some extra food like mushrooms and onions and things like that. And this is maybe 2 days from now, I'm going to serve over noodles and we'll have a different meal out of it. The third meal might be something I add to my freezer. I slice it up nice and thin, and we will have beef with au jus sandwiches, in a couple weeks from now, so that I get the best purposes out of this. And I make sure to use it instead of letting it get lost in my freezer for the next 6 months until I get my next meat order in. So anyway, I believe that there are ways to cut our food costs, but the number one issue, in my opinion, is using up what you've already spent your hard-earned money to get. Think about this. If the average family right now is spending $300 a week purchasing food, and 30 to 40% of that is waste, you're spending $100 a week for something that you're just going to throw away, that you're never even going to eat. You might not, you might eat it once, but there's more of it. At $400 a month, what could you do with that? Multiply that out over a year. That's a lot of money that you could save for something else. Maybe you can't figure out how to stock up on those bargain meat sales like the one I just got, and I'll link that below so you can see that one. It's a short video, but this happens twice a year in my area, and I make sure that I'm ready to stock up at that time. Okay? So if you had an extra $400 a month, even $200 a month, say you could only save enough to save $50 a week on your food budget eventually, what could you do with that money to help cut your costs further later down the road? And that's kind of what I'm working at showing you guys here. Now, there's a lot of great YouTube channels out there that have meal plans, but I work mine different. I guess I reverse engineer mine in a way, because I work mine around what has to get used, and then I make the meal plan. Not, this is what I have, now I'll make a meal plan, or this is what we would like to eat, now I'll make a meal plan. So I'm going to do a video on that, but before I even get that far, I have a video ready for you guys to see, and actually two of them. One I'll link in the description again below, and that was the meat stock up. Just a way to organize so that it's easier to find what you already have. I have 2 little chest freezers, and I've been through the hassle of putting all my food in there with good intentions of knowing what's in there, and you give up trying to dig through it to find what's at the bottom, or there's that roast in there and you just can't find it. It's an organization way. It's easy. It was inexpensive. I spent $30 to organize 2 big, fairly good size freezers, okay? The other one that I just finished was organizing my in-the-house freezer and what I use it for, and my refrigerator. Now my pantry, I'll admit, the pantry it's organized by sort of categories, but I kind of have a good idea what's in there. What my meal plan, everything in my pantry is either things like tomato sauce, which actually that's a separate area, so that's easy to find because I can my own. But it would be like rice, pasta, ramen, and things like that. And I have a good idea. Those are, I don't want to say afterthoughts, but they're the last part of my meal plan, so I can just look in my cabinet and see if I have that item available. So one is getting organized. I think that's the most important way to reduce your food waste, because you know exactly what you have, and that will be the next video. And then I will show you how I use that information to meal plan what we're going to eat over the next week or so. A video after that, so it doesn't get super long, will be once I make that meal plan, I'm going to make my list if I need anything to go to the store, and then a video after that, I'll just show you what I made for the week. Okay, I think it'll make it easier to break this up so it doesn't become a 2-hour video. But I hope this information is going to be helpful to somebody. And if you have any questions or comments, we'll do a complete video on that as well. Leave me some, comments below. Ask me questions so that I know exactly what you're looking for. It works for a family and it works for somebody who's single and everything in between. I think we can save you 30 to 40% on your food bill and then more later on. So leave me a comment and a thumbs up, and you guys have a wonderful day.